system of higher dimensions. Chapter 21, The Girl the System Fears. The world should have felt safe again. The breach was sealed. The giant eye was gone. The watchers had vanished. And yet, nobody celebrated. Because everyone remembered what they had felt. That pressure. That gaze. That impossible presence. It was the kind of fear that lingered long after the danger disappeared. 3 days later. Global Hunter Headquarters. Emergency Conference Room. Every major guild leader sat around the enormous circular table. The atmosphere was grim. No one spoke. No one wanted to be the first. Finally, an elderly S-rank hunter broke the silence. How many casualties? A woman in military uniform looked down at her report. Direct casualties, 0. Everyone blinked. 0. She continued. Psychological casualties, over 12,000. The room went silent. Entire guilds had been left traumatized. Some hunters had retired immediately. Others refused to enter gates ever again. One man had reportedly started screaming whenever he saw the sky. The breach had only remained open for minutes. Yet its effects were devastating. Far away, inside a small apartment, Kai sat beside the window, unable to sleep. Again, the whisper still echoed inside his mind. Grow stronger, Kai Hunter. Every night. Every single night. The same words. The same voice. Watching. Waiting. Kai clenched his fists. For the first time since gaining the system, he felt powerless. Because he couldn't fight it. Couldn't find it. Couldn't even understand it. A soft knock came from the door. Kai already knew who it was. Come in. The door opened. Ciel entered carrying 2 cups of coffee. You look terrible. Kai sighed. Thanks. She sat beside him. For a while, neither spoke. The silence wasn't uncomfortable anymore. Not between them. Eventually Ciel looked toward the city lights. You've been thinking about it. Kai nodded. The eye. The quest. The voice. Everything. Ciel remained quiet. Then she smiled weakly. You know what's funny? What? I'm supposed to be scared. Kai looked at her. She stared at her coffee. But somehow I'm more worried about you. For several seconds, Kai didn't know what to say. His chest felt strangely warm. And strangely painful. Because the secret quest still floated in the corner of his vision. Protect Ciel Ardent. Objective, unknown. Failure, irreversible. Suddenly, the system appeared. Not as a window. Not as text. A figure. A young girl made of blue light. Kai immediately stood. What the hell? The figure looked around curiously, as if seeing the world for the first time. She nearly dropped her coffee. Can systems do that? No. Kai answered instantly. Because systems definitely weren't supposed to become people. Yet here she stood. The glowing girl tilted her head, then looked directly at Kai, and smiled. Hello. Silence. Kai stared. Ciel stared. The system stared back. Finally, Kai spoke. Why do you have a body? The girl thought for a moment, then answered. I don't know. That somehow made everything worse. The first candidate appeared moments later. The instant he saw the glowing girl, his expression changed completely. Shock. Fear. Disbelief. No. The girl looked at him. Oh. The first candidate stepped backward. Actually backward. As if he had seen a ghost. Kai frowned. You know her. The former system whispered. This shouldn't be possible. The glowing girl blinked. Then smiled softly. I remember you. The first candidate froze. The room became silent. Kai immediately realized something important. The first candidate wasn't acting like a mentor anymore. He was acting like a subordinate. What is she? Kai demanded. The former system looked at the girl. Then at Kai. Then sighed. A very tired sigh. Before systems existed, there was only one. Kai listened carefully. The original system. The room fell silent. The first candidate continued. The first intelligence ever created to manage stories. Ciel frowned. Stories? The first candidate nodded. Worlds. Dimensions. Timelines. Fate itself. Kai slowly looked toward the glowing girl. No way. The first candidate nodded. She shouldn't exist anymore. The girl's smile faded. For the first time, she looked sad. Very sad. As if remembering something ancient. Then suddenly, every screen in the apartment turned on. Television. Phones. Computers. Everything. A single message appeared. Worldwide. Every hunter. Every government. Every system user. Everyone saw it. A message written in crimson letters. New candidate detected. Initiating selection trial. The world froze. Kai's eyes widened. The first candidate looked horrified. Because he understood something before anyone else. The trial wasn't for Kai. It wasn't for C. And it definitely wasn't for humanity. Slowly, the former system looked toward the glowing girl. His face turned pale. Impossible. The girl looked at the message. Then quietly asked, "Another candidate?" For the first time, she sounded afraid. Thousands of kilometers away, deep beneath an abandoned city, inside a forgotten dimensional prison, something opened its eyes. Ancient chains shattered. A smile appeared in the darkness, and a voice echoed through the underground ruins. So, the game begins again. A crimson system window appeared before the unknown figure. Unlike Kai's, unlike anyone's, this one carried a title. Candidate number 2. Status: Awakening. Far beyond dimensions. Far beyond reality. The giant eye opened once more. Watching. Waiting. Interested. Because at last, the second piece had entered the board. End of chapter 21. The system of higher dimensions. Chapter 22, the second candidate. The message remained in the sky. Crimson letters burned across every screen on Earth. Every hunter, every guild, every government saw the same thing. New candidate detected. Initiating selection trial. Panic spread immediately. The appearance of one candidate had already changed the world. A second one. Nobody knew whether that was salvation or disaster. Inside Kai's apartment, silence ruled the room. The original system stared at the message. The first candidate looked disturbed, and Kai was growing increasingly annoyed. Can someone explain what this means? The first candidate finally sighed, then sat down. For the first time, he looked exhausted. Not physically, mentally, as though he had seen this happen before. Many times. Candidates are not chosen randomly. Kai listened. The former system continued. Every era produces individuals capable of changing the fate of existence itself. Those people become candidates. Ciel frowned. So there have been others before Kai? The first candidate nodded. Hundreds? Perhaps thousands. The answer stunned everyone. Even Kai. Thousands? Then what happened to them? As if reading his thoughts, the former system answered. Most died. The room became silent. Cold. Heavy. Some lost themselves. Some became monsters. A few became legends. Kai crossed his arms. And candidate number 2. The first candidate didn't answer immediately, which itself was an answer. He wasn't a legend. The former system looked toward the crimson sky. His expression darkened. He was a catastrophe. The room froze. Meanwhile, thousands of kilometers away, deep beneath forgotten ruins, a gigantic underground structure trembled. Ancient pillars cracked. Dust fell from the ceiling. Massive chains stretched into darkness. Millions of runes glowed along the walls, each one radiating enough power to suppress entire dimensions. And all of them were breaking. At the center of the prison sat a man, his head lowered, his eyes closed, motionless, like a statue, like a corpse, like something that had waited too long. Crack. One chain shattered. The sound echoed for hundreds of kilometers. The man's eyes slowly opened. Silver. Ancient. Empty. Back at Kai's apartment, the original system suddenly stood. Her blue light flickered violently. The first candidate immediately noticed. What is it? The girl remained silent for several seconds. Then she whispered, "He's waking up." The room became colder. Not physically. Instinctively. As though reality itself disliked those words. Kai frowned. "You know him." The girl slowly nodded. For the first time since appearing, her calm expression vanished. Fear replaced it. Real fear. "I remember him." The first candidate closed his eyes, as though hoping he had heard wrong. No. The original system looked at him. Yes. The former system clenched his fists. Kai had never seen him react this way. Not against the executor. Not against the watchers. Not even against the eye beyond reality. Yet candidate number 2 terrified him. Kai stepped forward. Who is he? The original system remained silent. The first candidate answered instead. Before Kai. Before me. Before modern systems existed. There was another candidate. The room became completely silent. The strongest candidate ever recorded. Even Kai felt a chill. Stronger than you. The former system laughed bitterly. Much stronger. Ciel blinked. Then why was he sealed? The first candidate didn't answer. The original system did. Because nobody could kill him. Silence. Absolute silence. Far beneath the ruins. Another chain shattered. Then another. Then another. Millions of years of accumulated power began leaking into reality. Storms formed above the prison. Dimensional fractures spread across continents. Hunters everywhere suddenly felt pressure crushing their bodies. S-rank hunters dropped to one knee. A-ranks collapsed entirely. Even dormant dimensional gates began trembling. Something was awakening. Something ancient. Something wrong. Inside the prison, The silver-eyed man slowly stood. Ancient chains hung from his arms. His body appeared ordinary, human. Yet every step distorted reality itself. A crimson system window appeared before him. Candidate number 2. Status: Awakening. Sealed duration: 12,000 years. Remaining seals: 1. The man stared at it, expressionless. Then quietly spoke. 12,000 years. His voice carried no anger, no hatred, no madness. That was the frightening part. He sounded calm, as if 12,000 years had simply given him time to think. Back in the apartment, Kai suddenly received a notification. One unlike any he had ever seen. Hidden quest. Survive the awakening. Difficulty unknown. Failure penalty. Death of the current story. Kai froze. Death of the current story. The first candidate looked at the screen. His face went pale. No. The original system lowered her head, as though she already knew what was coming. Far beyond dimensions. Far beyond reality. The giant eye opened once more. Watching. Interested. Waiting. The colossal being upon the throne of stories smiled. The forgotten protagonist returns. At that exact moment, the final seal shattered. Boom! The entire planet shook. Mountains cracked. Oceans rose. Dimensional storms erupted worldwide. Every system user received the same alert. Warning. Candidate number 2 has awakened. The silver-eyed man stepped out of his prison. For the first time in 12,000 years. Moonlight illuminated his face. He looked toward the stars. Toward the endless worlds beyond. Then, for the first time, he smiled and whispered a single name. Kai Hunter. End of chapter 22. The System of Higher Dimensions. Chapter 23. The Prisoner of 12,000 Years. The world was afraid. For good reason. The appearance of a new candidate had shattered the fragile peace humanity had enjoyed since the Rift incident. Every major guild, every government, every dimensional organization, they all asked the same question. Who was candidate number 2? And why had he been sealed for 12,000 years? Unfortunately, nobody had an answer. Except perhaps the beings who refused to speak. Inside Kai's apartment, the atmosphere remained tense. The glowing girl, the original system, sat quietly near the window, watching the rain outside. For some reason, she looked lonely. Not frightened. Not worried. Lonely. as though she remembered something everyone else had forgotten. Kai noticed. But before he could ask, the first candidate suddenly stood. His face had become unusually serious. We don't have much time. Kai frowned. What do you mean? The former system looked directly at him. If candidate number 2 fully awakens, every candidate in existence will feel it. A chill ran through the room. Kai didn't like the sound of that. At all. Meanwhile, deep beneath the ruins, the prison continued collapsing. Ancient chains exploded into dust. Massive pillars cracked. Walls covered in forgotten rooms shattered. One by one, the seals that had endured for 12,000 years were failing. And at the center of it all, the prisoner remained seated. Calm, patient, waiting. As if he had known this moment would come. A crimson notification appeared. Seal integrity 12%. The prisoner smiled. Almost. His voice echoed through the underground world. And every remaining seal trembled. Back in Kai's apartment, the original system suddenly froze. The blue light around her body flickered. Once. Twice. Then violently. The first candidate immediately turned toward her. You felt it. The girl nodded slowly. For the first time, fear appeared on her face. Real fear. Kai noticed instantly. His stomach tightened. Because something capable of frightening the original system could not possibly be normal. The girl whispered. He remembers. The room fell silent. Kai blinked. What? The original system looked toward the distant horizon. Toward the location of the ancient prison. He remembers everything. Nobody understood what she meant. Except the first candidate. His face turned pale. No. Kai looked between them. What are you two talking about? The former system clenched his fists. Then finally answered. Candidates lose memories when they awaken. It's part of the process. Kai frowned. He certainly didn't remember any forgotten past. The first candidate continued. Candidate number 2 is different. His memories were never erased. The room became silent. Dangerously silent. Seal was the first to react. Why does that matter? The answer came from the original system. And her voice was barely above a whisper. Because he remembers why he was sealed. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. The implication was terrifying. A man imprisoned for 12,000 years. A man who remembered every second. Every betrayal. Every loss. every moment of suffering. Kai suddenly had a bad feeling. An extremely bad feeling. Because people didn't survive 12,000 years of imprisonment unchanged. Far beyond dimensions. Far beyond worlds. The giant eye opened once more. Its endless gaze drifted toward the collapsing prison. Watching. Interested. As if anticipating a favorite chapter in a book. The colossal being upon the throne of stories smiled. At last. The forgotten protagonist awakens. Across reality. Millions of invisible threads began trembling. Fate itself was changing. Inside the prison. The final seal cracked. A deafening sound echoed through the underground world. Crack! The prisoner slowly stood. For the first time in 12,000 years. The air around him distorted. Space folded. Time slowed. Reality bent. Not because he was using power, but because reality itself remembered him. Seal integrity, 0%. The system message vanished. The prison died. And the man finally stepped forward. One step. Then another. Ancient chains fell from his body, shattering like glass. His eyes opened. Silver. Cold. Endless. A new notification appeared before him. Welcome back. Candidate number 2. The man stared at the message. For several moments. He said nothing. Then he laughed. A quiet laugh. Not madness. Not rage. Something far worse. Understanding. So they're still playing this game. The underground world trembled. Mountains collapsed. Dimensional storms erupted across continents. Every active system user on Earth suddenly received an alert. Warning. Anomalous entity detected. Threat level unknown. Kai's eyes widened. The first candidate looked horrified. The original system closed her eyes. As though she had feared this moment for a very long time. Then another message appeared. Visible only to Kai. Emergency quest. Find candidate number 2. Time remaining 7 days. Failure condition. World line collapse. Kai froze. World line collapse. What the hell did that even mean? The first candidate looked at the notification. And for the first time since Kai had met him, he looked completely defeated. He's moving already. Kai stared at him. What happens if we fail? The former system remained silent. For several seconds. Then he answered. We don't lose Earth. We lose the story. Far away. The ancient prisoner stepped onto the surface. For the first time in 12,000 years. Moonlight illuminated his face. He looked up at the stars, at the worlds beyond, at the dimensions that had continued without him. Then he smiled. A calm smile, a terrifying smile, and spoke a single sentence. Kai Hunter, let's see if you are worthy of being a candidate.